And we're recording. Okay, welcome back to Ian Bradford from Greenview Residential Care Home in Lockerbie. We welcome you back, Ian, to talk about our final assignment for Unit 21, training and development. And this is all about induction. For those people who have not worked in any sort of role that has involved an induction process, would you mind just explaining what the induction what induction is to you? What does it mean?
Yeah, sure. Right. In order to work for us, the first thing you've got to do is fill out an application form and fill out all the relevant details. Once we've taken all those things in there may be items on there that you are already skilled at doing. But our induction process works on the basis of if you have some knowledge, you won't necessarily know where you are within the business that we run. So we try and tell people a little bit more about what we will do, taking into account the things you know. It would be extremely daft if you were able to pilot a plane and we were about to teach you how to fly a glider. So similarly, you have to work out first what the person's abilities, knowledge, skills lie, and then adapt your coaching induction to meet those areas that they don't know about. What we would do with them is we would actually buddy them, link them up with another member of staff to show them round. We would then invite them during that time, if they were capable and competent to do certain things, to perhaps participate and undertake. We have to do certain areas of training which are mandatory, which you're all probably familiar with, fire regulations. And we have to firstly tell people how to get out of a building. A few days ago, we had a lady come around who wanted to work, 17-year-old, who's at Peter Simmons, and she wanted to come and do some work during the times that she was free. And the first thing we said we will do with her is actually teach her how to get out of a building. It's all very well going into a building and staying in a building, but you need to know firstly, and more importantly, how the hell do you get out? It amazes me how many people in any business do not give that as the first course of training, because should a fire occur, you could be liable for that person's death. If that person died as a result of you not giving them the information, I would end up going to prison as a result. So it's very important that all businesses take very seriously fire regulations to start with. So that's one of the first areas of induction, as running alongside working with somebody. You want to say something, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, I was just going to rewind just to.
Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to rewind just a little tad, just to say literally what induction is normally when you start a job, you're introduced to the culture and the necessary working requirements of that business. So, and that now fits in with what you're talking about. So you buddy people up with somebody else, you look through, it's no point in giving people training if they've already competent in something, but you do need to give them the culture of your place and train them, like you were saying, how, the basics, how to escape the building in an emergency.
We all have unique and it amazes me, this girl the other day, she'd actually gone to work in another care establishment and she'd never been given any fire training. So what would have happened to that girl if she'd have been involved in something like that? She could have died. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So it is very important to fulfill your first priority is the health and safety of the person you employ. Make sure that they undertake tasks that they can undertake, and you're not asking them to do things they can't do. We, as I said before, don't teach a pilot how to fly a glider. So you would gear it up to meet areas that they need to know about. It's great fun also to get them to go around with somebody else, because that you often end up with the person you buddy them with realizing they have more knowledge and skills than they actually realize, because they're now imparting that to somebody else without actually realizing all this stuff they know about. They also impart how they feel about the company. They impart how the company feels about its position in the wider marketplace, what our competitions are, and they get a feeling of belonging. One of the reasons that people predominantly go to work is for the people they work with. You don't always go to work just for your financial rewards. Often people go to work because they like working with the people that are working there. And there's nothing better, in my experience, Staff work with people that work well. If you are the best in what you do, people will always want to work with you. Without a doubt, when you list those qualities about an individual, they often say, I like working with this person. I like working with that person. And it relates back to how much knowledge and skill that they've got. So it's important that you impart that knowledge early so that they can impart that knowledge to others within the company as well, because you're not going to be there all the time. And one of the things we'll get on to talking about later on is that wonderful world of empowerment. It's so important to empower your members of staff to do the work for you. So, is that enough on induction?
So you've explained what an induction process is, yeah. What is the purpose of it? Is just to make sure that everybody's, from your perspective, everybody's got the right skills?
Yeah, they have to have enough skills. They have to make sure they know all the legal requirements of the outside of the business as well, and to fulfill the roles that we ask them to do in a way that is doing it as best that they possibly can. And one of the other tricks of the trade is to give people the knowledge about this is how we do it. It's like a crib sheet. If somebody else gives you a crib sheet which tells you exactly this is what you need to do, they've already given you all the skills you need to do. All you need to do is follow it.
Yeah.
But there is the fact you've got to put your own personality to it, put your own skills and qualities to the job as well. And maybe often what happens is you might see a better way of doing it than they do. And you're making that company better all the time.
So
never look badly upon the people at the point of them.
Yeah. So a new
the guys at the mill face, the guys digging the coal out, they're the ones. Sorry, go on.
No, you're all right. So a new employee comes in. Who do they first connect with? Is that the registered manager?
Yeah, they would connect with the registered manager, and then they would be appointed with somebody that would be their buddy, and they'd work with for a period. We normally work on a month, but some people have the ability. They don't need a month. You know, they can pick the job up within no time at all. We've had youngsters, brilliant youngsters. She's only 17. She could probably run the place now. She is incredibly good. I sat down with her to write a letter to the residents, the representatives yesterday, talking about the fact we're not going to go with the government guidelines. With the government guidelines say we must open up from this Sunday, we're going to say no. We're going to give it a couple more weeks because everyone will have their second jab. And so we're writing this letter out, and I'm sort of saying, no, we need to say this, this, and this. And she said, she then pointed out to me, she said, I've written that down below. And everything that I wanted to be written, she'd already written it. I was so impressed that she really understood the culture of the business. And all we did was we just rearranged it, put it up the top. It was so impressive. And you know, she's only 17. Absolutely incredible. She's only been with us for about 8 months.
It's like all my students here, they're all incredible. So give us a list of things. Give us a list of things that you would expect somebody to do in induction, please. So you've said fire evacuation. What else is in induction?
Oh, there's tons, Anne-Marie. I'm not kidding you. If policies and procedures, you've got an absolute wealth of so much stuff there that you've got to know. I couldn't even begin to tell you all the stuff that they'd have to know. Then you have to get that personal skills in terms of how to talk to somebody who we're living with, how to help that person, how to understand their individual needs. And true enough, most businesses are needs-based. It is a good idea to find out what the needs are and then meet the needs and then do them better perhaps than somebody else is doing them. And there is such a lot. We do with the health, we do with everything. It's a very holistic home because we're small. So the carers come in and they have to learn cooking, cleaning, tidying, caring. They have to be the health and safety officer. They have to be the security officer when somebody comes in the door that shouldn't be there. There is a wealth of knowledge that we have to impart on them. You couldn't impart everything in one go. No. So you have to work at it over very slow, because you just overwhelm people with the sheer volume of items that we have to impart. We have so much ongoing training on so many subjects related to health, Parkinson's, dementia, all the different moving and handling, which is a requirement. There's the food and hygiene regulations, which we have to impart to cooking staff and the staff that are actually delivering the food. It is immense. There's a lot to do.
Okay.
I bore you to tears with telling you all of it.
I've got what I've written down then, for everybody's sake. I've got fire evacuation, lots of policy documents such as food and hygiene, moving and handling, training to deal with Parkinson's and people with dementia, the needs of the residents within the care home, health and well-being of residents, cooking, cleaning, and health and safety. So
we now got online.
Sorry.
We got online care planning as well, which has changed the dynamics as well. We're not doing it all in written form. We're actually doing it all with digital. And then there's all the requirements around GDPR. So there's a lot of other aspects that have come into it that we've got to train them up on as well. You couldn't overwhelm them with everything in one go. You start off by giving them this is what we need to do to look after the person. Then you add on to that all the other aspects of accountability and recording that has to be put in place as well.
I'm just going to pause for a moment, Ian, if that's all right. Can I just ask everybody, anybody that's done an induction before, can you just put in the chat window what activities you've done at induction? And just let me know, what sort of training did you get? Can you just put it into the chat so everybody can see, please? Sure. So I just want everybody to just put into the chat what what sort of training they've done at induction. If you've had a job, what induction training did you might have got a tick list of things that you had to do. So I'm just going to write a list.
Some people have handbooks as well.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Yeah, Tabs says I'd start health and safety. Tabs, are you working in the care industry at the moment? You must have had some other things specific to that, maybe. Pop some other things in there. Holly, what sort of health and safety? Sorry, what sort of induction training have you had? I put data protection. I'm just trying to think what else I had in induction. Compute. So we had. Well, if actually you all the students had it at the beginning of the year when you have like IT policies and procedures. So you know how to use the IT facilities and what. I know it's been a long time. I don't know if you can see the chat window just at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Holly must have been impressed with one thing. One thing must have come.
Yeah, you must have done something. Holly, you must have done. She must have done lifting and
something that
carrying stuff.
Something must have bored. You thought, oh, boring. This is boring. We got to do this and we got to do that again.
Yeah, so we had IT policies. I got taught how to open a ladder. There you go.
Yes, definitely.
It's a little. Yes. If it's part of your job.
You're only allowed to. Yes, there's a rule. There's a rule. You can only go up 3 steps on a ladder before you have to have ladder training.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to go above 3 steps without specialist ladder training.
I'm just trying to think what else I did. We had a library induction. How to use the library. You all have that. Amber talks about training, Kosh and riddle training. Yeah, so CTAL's just said that Amber, when she spoke to us, spoke about Kosh and riddle training.
Kosh and riddle, well done. Well done, Amber. She's now on maternity leave.
Oh, is she? Yeah. How to spot stealing. Ooh.
How to spot stealing.
Where's that, Monica?
Yeah.
Can't remember where you work. Oh, IKEA.
IKEA.
Yeah. Juwaria and Tabassum, don't you work in the health industry? I don't know whether you're still working part-time there. They must have done something else. What about, there'd be COVID. how to deal with COVID and how to be
We have tremendous COVID training at the moment. Yeah. Now
So
that would be something we would do early.
it's really important as
Fake
an
money, yeah.
employer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Keep your
important.
eye out.
Yeah, it's important as an employer to put yourself in the shoes of your new employee, to think, right, what do they need to know? Because you can assume that people just know things and you shouldn't.
Never assume. It's an ask of you and me.
Yeah, that's it.
Never assume. Makes an ask of you and me.
That's it.
Never assume.
So we've looked at employee induction process. The purpose is to give, obviously, everybody the right skills, because you could be legally at risk. Could you? If you don't give your staff training appropriately, could you be at risk of
moving and handling.
getting, what would happen if
we do, there would be we could lose our registration, and that would be loss of income completely. And there could be ongoing there are diabetes insulin injections we do for diabetics, and there can be sharps injuries, and if they haven't had the appropriate training, then they can come and get us for that, because they could have had an injection which it could have been HIV or something like that.
So you could be liable, meaning that you could get taken to court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Fire regs, if there's a fire, they take out the fire logbook. If the training hasn't been given to that person, I would be liable to a huge fine and an imprisonment.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Monica said about fake money as well, picking up fake money. Basil,
yeah.
Kind of busy. Is it okay if I leave? I'm outside the house. Righto, Faisal.
Come back inside.
Okay. Anyway, right. So, what the requirements are for this assignment? I mean, it's literally they have to think of an induction plan themselves. So they have to put something together. They can use yours and they can add other things on. And also I've put on there about putting themselves in the shoes of this is the wrong way around. Hang on. Oh, my sheet's the wrong way around. I'm just talking about the wrong bit. Okay, so they've got to create an induction plan. So they have to
assess the factors.
They have to create a letter, a schedule. So you said your schedule was over a month. When I started college, it's over 2 days. You just get invited to all these meetings. So you guys, those of you who are logged in,
they do that.
So they have to. You'll see on my I'm going to post up my notes for this. So you've got to create a letter welcoming new members of staff to the business. And this letter should include their working hours and information on the induction schedule. So do you do something like that, Ian? Do you have like a welcome pack?
They get that in their that's in their contract when they arrive. Nowadays, contracts have to be given to new members of staff on the day they join. So on the day they join, they will have their hours, they'll have their rota, they'll know what they're doing, and they'll know who they're working alongside. They will then show them around doing the fire regulations first, and then they would introduce them to the residents around the home. They would then run them through what the schedule for the day was, and they would walk them through what's going on in that day. Around that day, when there are those quiet times when you've got to find something for them to do, they get to read the dreaded policies and procedures manual, which I hate, because I personally think it's the most boring thing you could possibly have to do. Yeah. And what I try and teach them to say is, when the inspectors come, tell them it's on the computer. Don't tell them you know it, because no one's going to know all the policies and procedures, but it's important that they read them through. So they're aware of what we got, and there's just so many. And then they'll just run through with things and they'll be shown.
I was going to say, we have to do
every business has them,
online courses for health and safety and fire regulations and all that. we have to do online every year. We have to do it.
Yeah. Within so many weeks, 6 weeks, we have to make sure they do the care certificate. So the care certificate runs them through all the aspects of care that you might want to have to go through. So the aspects of care that you would show them in how you'd stand alongside somebody, how you talk to somebody, how you'd deliver their food to them, give their medication, what difficulties they would have, understanding the care plan, all those things will be running through as you work on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And you just be growing in knowledge. And as we said before, a lot of those people will know it because they've done it already, maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll only teach them the bits they don't know.
Yeah.
Our care plans are quite comprehensive and quite concise, and they actually have been praised by hospital when we sent them in. So we know they're good.
Okay.
And at any time, somebody can come back to us and say they need some help with something. We would identify it during appraisals and during supervision. They would pick up from us then, say, I need some help with this or I need some help with that. But we would pick it up because we're quite close, we're quite small.
So what, I'm just looking at, there's a title, assess the factors likely to make induction successful for new starters in the selected business. So yeah, what have you thought for that?
I like the smart bit.
Yeah. So making smart training. So
along the lines of.
Do you give them a list of things that they've got to do so they're very clear about what they've got to do and a timeline?
It's not quite done on a timeline basis. It's done more upon a we need to sort of we will go through and review it. I mean, we have to do the mandatory stuff, as you say, every year, and we would do that. I mean, I like does everybody know what SMART means?
Yeah.
Does everyone know what the S stand? Everyone know, they all know what they are, and they are very applicable to business in every way. Is to make those things achievable. You want your staff to succeed. You don't want your staff to fail. So you would actually work very closely on those SMART requirements.
Let's just get.
And I think we fulfil that quite well.
Let's just get somebody to type it in. Somebody type in what SMART means, please, just to show Ian that we do know what it means, because they have spoken about it quite a lot in their course.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I've got 2 there.
I know Holly knows.
Yeah. Thank you.
Holly's got 3. Holly's doing 4.
Oh yeah, Holly's on a roll. She's a fast typist. Time, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well done. Thank you very much, Holly and Seatal.
Very important, the last one.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, that's why we have deadlines for things, because otherwise nothing would get done.
Yeah. When you said to me earlier, does all this have to be completed within a certain time? Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, you do, like on the first day, fire rigs. You're right. That has to be done on the first day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So quite a contract now is by law has to be given to new staff on the first day.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are time specific things that have to be achieved.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Is that enough on that one?
Yeah, I think so. And then
benefits of it.
The list I've got, given, it's got the benefits of a good program and then the costs. Do you agree with those lists? The lists. So we've got. I don't think I haven't launched this on Google Classroom yet, so these guys haven't got this list. But do you want to just say what you think the benefits of an induction program are, of a good one?
Yeah. Well, this is where I came up with that thing about empowerment to the new member of staff. Inform them how the business makes its money, how it needs them to make everything work well, so to have a position within a designated profile. So if you've got somebody who's doing the catering side, if you've got somebody who's doing the cleaning side, somebody who's doing the caring side, get them to understand their roles very specifically and to empower them to undertake those tasks. And when they do those tasks for you, you are standing at the helm, as it were, steering the ship, but you need those people to do the job. So it is very important to empower people and not to overwhelm them by saying they've got to constantly report back to you or you need to know. One of the things that we want people to do here is certainly to use their own mind, their own brain to undertake and deliver. We don't want them to come back to us and keep saying, what do you want me to do now? What do you want me to do now? Because if they're doing that, why are we paying them if we're using somebody else's brain? So it's very important that we get the staff members empowered so they feel important, and that importance within the company promotes and positions them in a higher plane than if you were just literally waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. And there's no fulfillment if you're just sitting around waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, then you go away and do it. You need to be in a position where you make a difference. And if you make a difference, you feel so much better because you did that. You undertook that. Without you, that company wouldn't do that. And if you work on those principles, you'll never be out of a job. If you're always going to sit around and wait for somebody to tell you what to do, then they'll find somebody else. So so empowerment, that's a good word for you to learn. It took me a long time in business to learn it, because I used to think, oh, don't worry, I'll do it. Don't worry, I'll do it, because I had all the energy and I go around doing everything. And the staff weren't getting any fulfillment out of it. And I was just exhausted. So it was crazy, constantly doing everything. Once you learn the skill of empowerment and to teach them skills, also, you end up with a situation where they come back and do the job better than you anyway. And you think, crikey, wow. Like I told you, that girl, I'm not kidding, 17 years of age, and she wrote exactly what I would have written below what I was about to try to tell her to write up above in this letter. I couldn't believe it. I really and honestly was so impressed, as that's what she thought of the company. And she wrote it down in such a way that I was, well, still, as you can tell, blown away by how good it was.
Yeah.
It's a real good moment when that happens. Really
That
does
is
me feel
lovely.
good. Yeah. So yeah, I think we talked about the fire. Yeah.
But it's the costs of a poor program. I think we mentioned some of that. The fact that you could be legally liable. And you've said about people not being engaged. It would lead to low morale. They don't feel like they're doing anything. They're developing. They might not stay with you.
All those things. Yeah. I mean, it's very important. I mean, I mentioned earlier that John Lewis principle. They make everybody partners. So if you go into a John Lewis store, you're treated like you're the king. It's amazing the way they use their customer service, because every one of those people know that if they do well and if the person purchases from them, they will earn at the end of the year a dividend. Unfortunately, this last year they didn't earn anything. But the principle still remains, is that you are responsible for the company's profits and you get a share in it, which does generally pan out in all companies, but it's not always told to the residents. I mean, my staff get paid above minimum wage because they do a good job. And as a result of doing a good job, you want to pay them what you can pay them. If we were a poor home and we always had vacancies, when you look at my business model, 7 residents and I'm making a profit, how the heck does he do it? They tell you that the business model is now something like 63 residents in a care home is the only way you're going to make money. Well, I'm still here 37 years on with very little difference, because people do know that we're pretty good at what we do, and that carries. And always they say to me, you've got very good staff. But I've had loads of staff have gone through the business. And as a result of that, we maintain that position. Yeah. Hopefully there's enough. Oh, I told you must give them at this point that link I gave you to that businessman that was on the BBC.
Okay.
Which was really, really interesting.
Okay, I'm going to put it on there.
They need to read it. It's very. Yeah, it's a good read. It's not too much of a read, but it's a good read. He's a billionaire, this guy, really, and he learned a very early lesson in business, which he's carried through. And if you can pick out these things that people know in business and just grab hold of a few of them, and then carry them through into your business, you'll benefit. You don't need everything, but certain things you can pick out and use them.
Thank you. I think we've covered it all now, because we've spoken about the last little bit, unless there's anything else you wanted to say, because I think we've actually evaluated the impact of an induction program on your staff. I think we've done that.
Yep. I wrote on the bottom of my bit of paper the 2 things I wanted to tell everyone was knowledge is power. Not again. Oh no, here we go. But what you need to add now is empowerment is the secret to success. So knowledge is power, but empowerment is the secret to success.
Yeah.
But without knowledge, there is no empowerment. So learning what you're doing now is very beneficial to you. You must grasp that information.
And listening.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Empowerment.
Yeah. And it is important that we do listen. We've got two ears and one mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if these guys do end up having their own businesses, hopefully they'll think about this when they're trying to do every job that they, you know, and not empowering other people to do it. You have to trust somebody at some point with your business, don't you? You do have to trust.
Often they do it better. They do it better. Yeah. They do it better than you. Often. I mean, I'll go on about that 17-year-old again. What she wrote out in that letter was, and I've been doing it 37 years, and she wrote down everything about my business that I was trying to convey in that letter, and she's only been here about 8 months. Very impressive. That means we've conveyed to her what we want, and she's fed back to me in writing that letter without me having to do it. I mean, she's already held in very high regard, but when she put that down, and I was trying to tell her, you know, write this, write that, and she said, "Oh, I've written it all down here." And when I read it, I was like, "Blimey, that's exactly what I wanted to say." Exactly. That's impressive.
All right, that's super.
So it means we're doing a good job in doing our induction.
Yeah, exactly.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Has anybody got any questions? Anything they're not sure about? They want to just clarify. I know you haven't seen the template, but it is all down on the template. I tell you everything that you've got to do, and I'm recording this video. Anyway. All right. Has anybody got any questions? Put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Or has anybody got any questions about anything that they're doing at the moment for anybody else and they're stuck, and we might be able to help you? Okay. All right. On that note, thank you very much, Ian.
My pleasure. Again.
Thank you. All right. If there's any problems, I'll
have a nice time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Again.
Yeah. Thank you. If there's any problems, I'll email you if we've got any questions. Thank you, Lovey.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers.